The gavel hadn't even fallen, but Meghan Markle's world was already crumbling. September 2025 will go down as the month that changed everything for the Duchess of Sussex, and it all happened in a Florida courtroom that she wasn't even required to attend.
Be proud of who you are. Work hard. You don't have to pretend to be someone else. You don't have to dress like Diana. You don't have to say you got grants and scholarships.
While Meghan was likely sipping her morning coffee in her Montecito mansion, her legal team was facing their worst nightmare as Samantha Markle's lawyers delivered what insiders are calling a masterclass in appellate arguments. Sources close to the proceedings reveal that Meghan's attorneys walked into that courtroom confident they'd already won this battle. After all, the initial defamation lawsuit had been dismissed just months earlier, and they believed this appeal was nothing more than Samantha's desperate final attempt to stay relevant. But within minutes of the oral arguments beginning, that confidence reportedly evaporated faster than morning mist.
And we started wondering, what's up with this? Like, why? And we started to realize, aha.
The three-judge panel wasn't buying Meghan's team's arguments, and court observers say the questioning grew increasingly hostile toward the Duchess's position. One legal expert who witnessed the proceedings whispered that Meghan's lawyer looked visibly shaken when the lead judge pressed him on specific statements Meghan had made during her explosive interviews. The very words that had once seemed like innocent clarifications about her family dynamics were now being dissected like evidence in a murder trial. But here's where it gets truly devastating for Meghan. Word from inside the courtroom suggests that Samantha's legal team came prepared with ammunition that nobody saw coming. They'd apparently spent months building a case that could not only reinstate the original lawsuit, but potentially open the floodgates for even more damaging claims.
The stories would come out. So apparently, according to other journalists, we found out that there were a lot of porcupines probably told to the royals and even to Harry.
Sources whisper that Meghan's team was caught completely off guard by the depth of research and the precision of Samantha's appellate strategy. The atmosphere in that Florida courtroom was reportedly electric with tension, and for good reason. This wasn't just about two estranged sisters airing their dirty laundry in public anymore. This had evolved into something far more sinister, a legal chess match where Meghan's entire carefully constructed post-royal image hung in the balance. Every calculated media appearance, every strategic interview, every attempt to control her narrative could now be used against her in ways she never anticipated. And the most chilling part? Meghan couldn't do a single thing to stop it.
You didn't get grants and scholarships. You never worked for the embassy. What do you mean you only did a 5-week study program?
While she's built her brand on being in control, on speaking her truth and owning her story, she was now completely at the mercy of three judges who would determine whether her half-sister could drag her through the mud all over again. But that September day in court was just the tip of the iceberg. The seeds of this legal nightmare were planted long before Meghan ever walked down that aisle at Windsor Castle, but nobody could have predicted how deep the roots of resentment would grow. Samantha Markle, 17 years older than her half-sister, had been watching from the sidelines as Meghan transformed from struggling actress to global icon, and sources close to the family say the jealousy was eating her alive from the inside. The real explosion happened during Meghan's now infamous media blitz following her exit from royal life. During her sit-down with Oprah Winfrey, Meghan made what seemed like offhand comments about growing up as an only child and barely knowing Samantha. Those words, delivered with Meghan's trademark composed demeanor, reportedly sent Samantha into an absolute rage.
5-week study program that doesn't equate with working at the embassy, which she told Rachel Ray and Craig Ferguson on live television. So all of these lies started coming out, but
Palace insiders reveal that Samantha felt completely erased from Meghan's narrative, as if decades of shared family history had been rewritten with the stroke of a media pen. But it wasn't just the Oprah interview that lit this legal fuse. Meghan's authorized biography, Finding Freedom, contained passages that Samantha believed painted her as a bitter, attention-seeking half-sister who had never been close to the future Duchess. Sources suggest that every media appearance Meghan made seemed to twist the knife deeper, with carefully crafted statements that portrayed their father Thomas Markle as manipulated by his eldest daughter's supposed schemes. Industry insiders whisper that Samantha saw a pattern emerging, one where Meghan was systematically destroying the reputation of anyone who dared to challenge her version of events. The breaking point allegedly came when Samantha realized that Meghan's media strategy wasn't just about protecting herself, it was about completely discrediting anyone from her past who might threaten her carefully curated image as a victim of circumstance rather than an architect of family destruction.
he was the first one that got the phone call. Daddy, I met a prince.
The legal filing that followed was reportedly 20 pages of pure family fury, with Samantha's lawyers arguing that Meghan's statements weren't just hurtful, they were career-damaging lies that painted Samantha as a racist opportunist capitalizing on her famous half-sister's success. But what made this lawsuit particularly dangerous for Meghan was the specific nature of the claims. Samantha wasn't just alleging general defamation, she was pointing to exact quotes, specific interviews, and documented statements that could be measured against verifiable facts. The most damaging aspect? Samantha's legal team had apparently been collecting evidence for years, building a case that went far beyond hurt feelings. They had emails, text messages, and witness statements that allegedly contradicted Meghan's public narrative about their relationship. What started as family drama was about to become a full-scale legal war, and Meghan had no idea how brutal the battlefield would become. When the gavel came down in 2024 and the judge dismissed Samantha's defamation case, Meghan's team reportedly celebrated like they'd just won the Super Bowl. Sources close to Team Sussex revealed that there was genuine relief flooding through their legal camp, with some insiders suggesting that Meghan herself felt vindicated after months of stress and sleepless nights.
The thing is, when I look at the allegations, I'm like, yeah, I would say that's a strong case of defamation against someone, you know what I mean? But
the dismissal seemed to confirm what her supporters had been saying all along, that this was nothing more than a frivolous lawsuit designed to embarrass the Duchess and grab headlines. But that celebration was painfully short-lived, and legal experts now say that Meghan's team made a critical error in underestimating Samantha's determination. The dismissal wasn't based on the merits of Samantha's claims, it was largely procedural, focusing on technical legal requirements rather than the actual truth or falsehood of Meghan's statements. This distinction would prove to be absolutely crucial, because it left the door wide open for an appeal that could resurrect the entire nightmare. Palace watchers reveal that Meghan's inner circle was so confident in their victory that they allegedly started planning how to leverage the dismissal for positive publicity. There were whispers about exclusive interviews where Meghan could position herself as someone who had been vindicated by the courts, someone whose truth had been legally validated against her family's attempts to tear her down. The narrative was perfect, the vindication was complete, and the future looked brighter than ever. Then came the appeal notice, and everything changed overnight. Sources suggest that when Samantha's lawyers filed their appellate brief, Meghan's legal team realized they'd been playing checkers while their opponents had been playing chess all along. The appeal wasn't just a desperate Hail Mary, it was a carefully crafted legal strategy that addressed every weakness in the original case and presented new arguments that could potentially devastate Meghan's position. What made this appeal particularly terrifying for Team Sussex was the timing. Just as Meghan was beginning to rebuild her brand and move past the family drama, Samantha's legal team was dragging her right back into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Industry insiders whisper that major brands and production companies were starting to view Meghan as a liability rather than an asset, with ongoing legal battles creating uncertainty about her marketability and public image. The most brutal realization? That dismissal Meghan had celebrated so enthusiastically might have actually made things worse. By publicly treating the case as frivolous and celebrating its dismissal, she'd painted herself into a corner where losing the appeal would look even more devastating. The stakes had somehow gotten higher, and the fall would be that much more painful when it came. Here's where things get absolutely terrifying for Meghan Markle, and it's something her legal team should have seen coming from day one. Florida's defamation laws are notoriously plaintiff-friendly, creating what legal experts describe as a perfect storm for celebrities who thought they could control their narratives without consequences. While Meghan might have assumed that her carefully worded statements would provide legal protection, sources reveal that Florida's courts take a much harsher view of public figures who make allegedly false statements about private individuals. The deadly twist in this legal nightmare? Samantha Markle technically qualifies as a private figure under Florida law, despite her media appearances and public statements about Meghan. This classification is absolutely crucial because it means Samantha doesn't have to prove the incredibly high standard of actual malice that typically protects celebrities from defamation claims. Instead, she only needs to demonstrate that Meghan's statements were false and damaged her reputation, a significantly lower bar that legal insiders say could be devastatingly easy to clear. Court watchers reveal that during the September oral arguments, Samantha's legal team hammered this point relentlessly, arguing that Meghan's global platform and massive media reach made her statements exponentially more damaging than typical family disputes. When someone with Meghan's influence tells Oprah Winfrey and millions of viewers that they barely knew their half-sister, the ripple effects aren't just personal, they're professionally and financially devastating for the person being discussed. But here's where Florida law becomes Meghan's worst enemy. The state has specific provisions that protect individuals from being defamed by more powerful parties, and Samantha's lawyers are reportedly arguing that this is exactly what happened. They're painting a picture of a global celebrity systematically destroying a private citizen's reputation through carefully calculated media appearances, using her platform as a weapon rather than a shield. Legal experts whispered that the appellate judges seemed particularly interested in the power dynamic between the sisters during those September arguments. The fact that Meghan had access to major media outlets, professional PR teams, and global platforms while Samantha was relegated to smaller interviews and social media posts could actually work in Samantha's favor under Florida's legal framework. The law is designed to protect the little guy from being steamrolled by more powerful parties, and that's exactly the narrative Samantha's team is pushing. The most chilling aspect for Team Sussex? If the appeal is successful and the case is reinstated, Meghan could face discovery proceedings where her private communications, strategic planning sessions, and internal discussions about family members could all become public record. Everything she thought was protected by attorney-client privilege or personal privacy could suddenly be fair game in a Florida courtroom, and there would be absolutely nothing she could do to stop it. The financial and professional implications of this legal nightmare are staggering, and industry insiders reveal that major players in Hollywood are already distancing themselves from anything Meghan-related until this appeal is resolved. Sources close to Netflix whisper that executives are reportedly having serious conversations about the risk-reward ratio of continuing their partnership with the Sussexes, especially if Meghan becomes embroiled in a lengthy public defamation battle that could generate negative headlines for months or even years. Brand experts suggest that Meghan's carefully cultivated image as an authentic, truth-telling advocate for the voiceless could be completely shattered if she loses this appeal. The woman who built her post-royal brand on speaking truth to power could suddenly be legally classified as someone who spread false information about her own family member. That narrative destruction would be absolutely devastating for someone whose entire marketability depends on trust and credibility. The ripple effects are already starting to show, according to sources in the entertainment industry. Major brands that were once eager to associate with Meghan's star power are now reportedly taking a wait-and-see approach, unwilling to commit to partnerships that could backfire spectacularly if she's found legally liable for defaming her half-sister. One marketing executive whispered that the royal connection that once made Meghan so valuable could become a liability if it's proven she lied about her family relationships. But the stakes go beyond just financial losses. Legal experts reveal that if Samantha wins this appeal and the case proceeds to trial, Meghan could be forced to publicly apologize and potentially pay significant damages. Imagine the global headlines when the woman who positioned herself as a victim of family dysfunction has to admit in court that she defamed her own half-sister. The public humiliation alone could be career-ending. Hollywood power brokers are reportedly most concerned about the precedent this case could set. If Meghan loses, it sends a message that celebrities can't simply rewrite their family histories without consequences, that there are legal limits to narrative control, even for the most powerful public figures. Sources suggest that other celebrities with complicated family dynamics are watching this case nervously, knowing that their own carefully crafted origin stories could be similarly challenged. The timing couldn't be worse for Meghan's long-term plans. Just as she and Harry were beginning to establish themselves as serious content creators and philanthropic voices, this legal battle threatens to drag them back into the tabloid drama they've been desperately trying to escape. Industry watchers whisper that the couple's attempts to be taken seriously in Hollywood could be completely undermined if Meghan is publicly branded as someone who lies about her own family. The higher they've climbed, the more devastating this potential fall becomes. What's becoming increasingly clear to legal observers is that Samantha Markle didn't just stumble into this appellate strategy by accident. Sources close to her legal team reveal that she's been methodically building this case for years, collecting evidence and documenting every single statement Meghan made about their family relationship. This wasn't the desperate move of a bitter half-sister seeking attention. This was reportedly the calculated strategy of someone who knew exactly how to exploit the weaknesses in Meghan's public narrative. Court insiders whisper that Samantha's legal team came to those September oral arguments armed with a devastating timeline that showed how Meghan's statements about their relationship evolved and allegedly became more damaging over time. They'd apparently cataloged every interview, every authorized biography quote, and every media appearance where Meghan discussed her family, building what legal experts describe as an almost airtight pattern of allegedly defamatory statements. The masterstroke in Samantha's strategy? She reportedly let Meghan dig her own legal grave by continuing to make public statements about their relationship even after the lawsuit was filed. While most celebrities would have gone silent on the subject, Meghan allegedly continued to reference growing up as an only child and having limited family connections, giving Samantha's lawyers even more ammunition for their appellate arguments. But here's where Samantha's plan gets truly diabolical. Sources suggest that she deliberately chose Florida as the jurisdiction for her lawsuit, not just because she lives there, but because Florida's defamation laws are particularly favorable to private figures who claim they've been harmed by more powerful public figures. She'd apparently done her homework on the legal landscape, and picked the battleground that would give her the maximum advantage against her globally famous half-sister. Legal experts reveal that Samantha's team also appears to have anticipated Meghan's likely defense strategies and prepared countermoves for each one. If Meghan claims the statements were opinions rather than facts, Samantha's lawyers reportedly have evidence suggesting they were presented as biographical truth. If Meghan argues that her statements weren't about Samantha specifically, they have documentation showing the clear connection between Meghan's words and damage to Samantha's reputation. The most chilling aspect of Samantha's strategy, sources whisper that she's been building relationships with other estranged family members and former associates who could potentially testify about Meghan's actual relationship with her family. This isn't just about two sisters anymore. It's reportedly about a coordinated effort to challenge Meghan's entire family narrative with testimony from people who were actually there during the events Meghan has publicly discussed. The web of potential witnesses could turn this legal battle into a full-scale family reunion from hell, with everyone airing their grievances under oath. Behind the polished gates of their Montecito mansion, sources reveal that Harry and Meghan are reportedly living in a state of constant tension as this legal nightmare consumes their daily lives. Palace insiders whisper that the couple's carefully orchestrated public appearances have become increasingly strained, with Meghan allegedly struggling to maintain her composed public persona while privately dealing with the crushing stress of potentially losing everything she's worked to build since leaving royal life. The most devastating aspect for their relationship? Sources close to the couple suggest that Harry is reportedly beginning to question whether Meghan's version of her family dynamics was entirely accurate. While he initially supported her narrative without question, the mounting legal pressure and evidence being presented in court has allegedly created uncomfortable conversations behind closed doors. One insider whispered that Harry has been asking pointed questions about Meghan's relationship with Samantha that she's reportedly struggling to answer convincingly. Team Sussex's professional relationships are allegedly cracking under the pressure as well. Sources reveal that their shared business ventures and charitable foundations are being scrutinized by partners and donors who are concerned about the reputational risk of continued association. The couple's carefully planned media strategy has reportedly been thrown into chaos, with PR advisors allegedly recommending complete silence while legal advisors push for more aggressive public positioning. The financial strain is becoming equally problematic according to industry watchers. Legal experts estimate that fighting this appeal and potential trial could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney fees alone, money that would come directly out of the couple's attempts to establish financial independence from the royal family. Sources suggest that the legal costs are already impacting their lifestyle and business decisions, forcing them to be more selective about projects and partnerships. But perhaps most troubling for the couple is the impact this legal battle is having on their children and family security. Sources close to their security team reveal that the ongoing litigation has increased concerns about harassment and unwanted attention from media outlets and Meghan's estranged family members. The couple allegedly fears that a prolonged legal battle could expose their children to unwanted scrutiny and potentially dangerous situations. The psychological toll appears to be devastating as well. Palace watchers suggest that Meghan is reportedly experiencing the kind of intense media pressure and legal stress that contributed to her decision to leave royal life in the first place. The irony isn't lost on observers that her attempts to escape family drama and legal constraints have led her directly into a potentially more damaging situation with even higher personal stakes. Sources whisper that the couple's relationship is being tested in ways they never anticipated, with this legal crisis threatening to unravel everything they've built together since stepping away from their royal duties. Every single word Meghan has ever spoken about her family is now being dissected like forensic evidence in a criminal investigation, and the results are reportedly more damaging than anyone in Team Sussex anticipated. Legal experts reveal that Samantha's appellate team has created what they're calling a statement matrix that cross-references Meghan's public comments with documented evidence about her actual relationship with her half-sister, and the contradictions are allegedly staggering. The Oprah interview, once seen as Meghan's masterstroke of narrative control, has become her legal Achilles heel. Sources close to the appellate proceedings whisper that Samantha's lawyers are focusing intensely on Meghan's claim that she grew up as an only child and barely knew her half-sister. They're reportedly armed with photographs, school records, and witness testimony that allegedly paint a very different picture of the sisters' relationship during Meghan's childhood and teenage years. But it's not just the major interviews that are causing problems. Court observers reveal that Samantha's legal team has been methodically cataloging every podcast appearance, every authorized biography quote, and every seemingly innocent comment Meghan made about her family dynamics. Statements that seemed harmless in isolation are now being woven together into what lawyers describe as a pattern of allegedly deliberate misrepresentation designed to damage Samantha's reputation. The most dangerous statements for Meghan? Sources suggest that her comments about family members being manipulated by outside forces and her implications that certain relatives were motivated by financial gain rather than genuine relationships are being treated as factual claims rather than personal opinions. Under Florida's defamation standards, these statements could be legally devastating if they're proven false or presented without adequate evidence. Industry insiders whisper that major media outlets are now reportedly reluctant to feature Meghan in interviews or stories that touch on family topics, knowing that anything she says could become evidence in ongoing or future legal proceedings. The woman who once commanded global attention for her willingness to speak openly about personal struggles is now allegedly being advised by multiple legal teams to avoid discussing huge portions of her life story. The ripple effect is creating a narrative nightmare for Meghan's brand management team. How do you maintain authenticity and relatability when huge chunks of your origin story are legally off limits? Sources reveal that her media appearances have become increasingly scripted and cautious, stripping away the spontaneous vulnerability that made her such a compelling public figure in the first place. Every interview question about family, every casual reference to her upbringing, every attempt to connect with audiences through shared experiences of family complexity has become a potential legal landmine that could explode in ways she never imagined. The entertainment industry's power brokers are reportedly treating this legal battle like a canary in the coal mine for celebrity narrative control, and the implications are sending shockwaves through executive suites across Hollywood. Sources close to major studios whisper that Meghan's situation has become a cautionary tale about the risks of building brands on personal storytelling, especially when those stories involve living family members who might have different versions of events. Streaming executives are allegedly having emergency meetings about their celebrity partnerships, with Netflix insiders revealing that the Sussex deal is being scrutinized more intensely than ever before. The concern isn't just about Meghan's specific legal troubles, it's about the broader question of what happens when a content creator's personal credibility becomes legally questionable. Industry watchers suggest that other high-profile celebrity deals are being re-evaluated in light of the potential risks demonstrated by Meghan's appellate nightmare. The timing couldn't be worse for Meghan's Hollywood ambitions. Just as she was beginning to establish herself as a serious content creator and producer, this legal battle is reportedly making industry decision-makers question whether she's worth the potential headaches. Sources reveal that several projects that were in early development discussions have been quietly shelved until the legal situation resolves, with executives unwilling to risk associating their brands with ongoing family litigation. But the impact goes beyond just Meghan's immediate circle. Celebrity publicists and crisis management experts across Hollywood are reportedly using her situation as a teaching moment for their own clients about the importance of being careful when discussing family relationships in public forums. The message is clear. Even seemingly innocent comments about personal history can become legal weapons in the wrong hands. Industry insiders suggest that major brands are now implementing what they're calling family litigation clauses in celebrity endorsement contracts, protecting themselves from association with stars who become embroiled in defamation battles with relatives. The Meghan situation has apparently opened executives' eyes to a type of risk they'd never seriously considered before: the possibility that a celebrity's own family members could become legal threats to their marketability. The most chilling aspect for other celebrities? Sources whisper that talent agencies are now advising their clients to have their own family members sign non-disclosure agreements before engaging in major media campaigns that discuss personal history. The idea that your own relatives could become legal adversaries capable of destroying your career is reportedly keeping celebrity lawyers busier than ever, as stars scramble to protect themselves from the kind of appellate nightmare that's currently consuming Meghan's life. Hollywood is learning that in the age of personal branding, your biggest threat might not be competitors or critics, it might be the people who share your DNA. The judges who heard those September oral arguments now hold Meghan Markle's entire future in their hands, and legal experts whisper that their decision could come at any moment, dropping like a bombshell that will either vindicate the Duchess or destroy everything she's worked to build since leaving royal life. Court watchers reveal that the typical timeline for appellate decisions in Florida means the ruling could arrive within weeks, creating an atmosphere of suffocating suspense that's reportedly consuming every aspect of Meghan's daily existence. If the appeal succeeds and Samantha's lawsuit is reinstated, the consequences will be absolutely devastating for Team Sussex. Sources close to the legal proceedings reveal that a reinstated case would likely lead to extensive discovery processes where Meghan's private communications, strategic planning documents, and internal discussions about family members could all become public record. The woman who spent years carefully controlling her narrative could suddenly find her most private thoughts and calculations exposed in court filings for the entire world to scrutinize. But if the judges uphold the original dismissal, Meghan's victory might be even more hollow than her initial win. Industry insiders suggest that the damage to her reputation and brand relationships has already been done, with the mere existence of this appellate challenge demonstrating that her family narrative isn't as settled as she once claimed. The uncertainty and ongoing legal drama have allegedly already cost her millions in potential partnerships and projects that will never be recovered regardless of the legal outcome. The broader implications for both sisters are staggering. If Samantha wins, she'll have successfully challenged one of the most powerful celebrity narratives in recent memory, potentially setting a legal precedent that could embolden other family members of celebrities to challenge their relatives' public statements. If she loses, the defeat could end her hopes of ever clearing her name or recovering from years of allegedly defamatory statements made by her globally famous half-sister. Palace watchers reveal that the royal family is reportedly watching this appellate decision with intense interest, knowing that the outcome could impact how Meghan's departure from royal duties is remembered by history. A legal finding that she defamed her own family members would cast her complaints about royal treatment in an entirely different light, potentially validating critics who suggested that her version of events wasn't entirely reliable. The countdown to judgment has allegedly transformed Meghan from the confident truth-teller who sat across from Oprah into someone who's reportedly living in constant fear of legal and professional annihilation. Sources whisper that she's checking legal news obsessively, knowing that any day could bring the appellate decision that either saves her carefully constructed new life or destroys it completely. The sister she allegedly tried to erase from her story might be about to have the final word after all. And there's absolutely nothing Meghan can do but wait for 3 judges to decide whether her truth was actually the truth or just another celebrity's carefully crafted fiction. The final showdown between these estranged sisters isn't happening in a courtroom or a television studio. It's happening in the quiet chambers where appellate judges review legal briefs and decide which version of the truth deserves to survive. Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you won't believe what's coming next.